recently got 6 baby chickens and I've been building a coop on my property. Raccoons are a serious problem in my area, so I've been designing the coop to be as safe as possible. I know a lot of people who have built strong coops in the past but still lost chickens. It seems like it's almost inevitable that at some point you leave the door open and the raccoons don't have to worry about secure chicken wire or electrified fences, they just walk right in the front door. When my chickens are full grown, I want them to have the freedom to be able to roam around the yard every day. Knowing that I'm a forgetful person, I decided early on that it would be important that there would be a door that would automatically close each night once the chickens had gone in to roost. There are a lot of designs out on the internet and on YouTube that I saw, but nothing met all the criteria that I wanted for my door. I felt that the critical design criteria were a system that would let the chickens out in the morning, secure the coop every night, cost less than $50 to build, be highly reliable, close slowly and gently so that chickens couldn't get trapped in any mechanisms, and not make any mess. Other criteria that I wanted but weren't critical were a system made of common parts readily available and easily replaceable. Also, if a failure did occur, I wanted the door to shut by default. I wanted a simple counterbalance setup with a sliding door. I thought a sliding door would be more secure than a door that hinged from the top. There are many ways to drive a mechanical system. I decided to use a waterfall pump because they're cheap, commonly available, and reliable. The pump lifts water from a water source into the counterweight until the counterweight is heavy enough to overcome the weight of the door and cause the door to rise. This particular type of pump is not able to hold pressure, so as soon as the pump is turned off, water will flow back from the weight into the water source and the door will close. I calculated that at the current rate of electricity, it costs about 1.5 cents a day to run the pump all day, or about $5 a year. I decided it would be a good idea to seal the system so that no new water could enter or leave. Doing this required an overflow line from the weight back into the water source, and a means of sealing both the weight and the water source from the outside environment. The benefit of a sealed system is that it doesn't waste water, doesn't create a mess, and is protected from contamination. The main cause of a failure in the system would likely be a clogging of the pump. Bending the lever arm so that the center of gravity is below the fulcrum causes the door to open and close slowly. This system could be effective in opening and closing all kinds of doors, but a few things have to be considered. The pump must be strong enough to pump water up into the weight when the door is open, and the reservoir must be low enough that water can flow from the weight back into the reservoir when the door needs to close. I used an electronic timer to control when my door opens and closes. Some people use light meters or solar detectors to control when their door closes and opens. You have to be careful using these systems because on a cloudy day the door could close much earlier than it would on a sunny day, thus confusing your chickens and locking them out. You can see my system in real life. This is the water source and pump. It'll ultimately be sealed with a lid to protect it from the environment. This is the timer, which will eventually be put in a waterproof container. The sliding door is plexiglass in an aluminum track. It's been painted black so that it's clearly visible to the chickens. I used a 4-inch piece of PVC pipe as my weight. Brass nipple fittings sealed with silicone connect it back to the water source. You can see how it's connected to the lever arm and fulcrum. The fulcrum is made from the bearing of an old dolly, and the lever arm is made from a bent piece of steel tubing. When the timer turns the pump on in the morning, it takes it a minute for the pump to overcome the weight of the counterbalance. In the interest of time, I've cut straight to the part where the door opens. This is what happens at the end of the day when the pump turns off and the water drains from the weight. As you can see, the door closes very slowly, and there's really no risk of any chicken getting trapped. I'd like to thank Mark Reese in Lompoc, California. He's an excellent chicken farmer, extremely knowledgeable. If you're in the Southern California area and you're looking for chickens or fresh eggs, you should definitely look him up. I found him on Craigslist. I would also highly recommend Island Seed and Feed in Santa Barbara, California. They're very knowledgeable, extremely friendly, and just a good local business. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation of my automatic chicken door.